Here's a fact that shouldn't make sense. China has had over a dozen dynasties, hundreds of emperors, countless wars and revolutions. And yet, after 5,000 years, the one symbol that has survived all of it is not a throne, not a crown, not a holy book. It's a mythical creature, one that doesn't even exist. The dragon. And not only has it survived, today, over 1 billion people still proudly call themselves descendants of the dragon. Not descendants of any emperor. Not descendants of any general. Descendants of a fictional animal. Why? What gives a creature that isn't real that kind of staying power? That's the question we're going to answer. By the end of this video, you'll understand 3 things. 1. Where the Chinese dragon actually came from, and it's not what you think. 2. Why it became the one symbol that outlasted every emperor and every dynasty. And 3. How a dragon is literally brought to life every year in the streets of China by ordinary people. Let's start at the beginning. The dragon is not one animal, it's 9. Around 6,000 years ago, ancient China was not a single civilization. It was a patchwork of tribes scattered across the Yellow River and Yangtze River valleys. Each tribe had its own totem: snake, fish, deer, eagle, tiger, ox. Then something happened. The tribes began to merge. When tribes merge, they need a new symbol, one that represents everyone. But here's where ancient China did something brilliant. They didn't pick one tribe's animal and declare it the winner. They didn't erase anyone's totem. Instead, they took the most meaningful part of each animal and combined them into one new being. Horns of a deer, longevity, grace. Head of a camel, endurance in harsh conditions. Eyes of a rabbit, vigilance, always watching. Neck of a snake, flexibility, adaptability. Scales of a carp, protection, armor. Claws of an eagle, power and speed. Paws of a tiger, strength on the ground. Ears of an ox, diligence and humility. And a special bump on the forehead, called Chi Mu. Without it, the dragon cannot fly. 9 animals. 9 tribes. 1 creature. The dragon, from its very first moment of existence, was never about one group dominating another. It was about fusion. It was the original "we are stronger together." This is the deepest root of the Chinese dragon. Before it became a god of rain, before it became an imperial symbol, before it became anything else, it was an agreement. A promise that different peoples could become one without losing their identity. And this early dragon, this jade carving found in Inner Mongolia, over 6,000 years old, tells us something extraordinary. The dragon was there at the very beginning. Before China was even China. It is, quite literally, older than the civilization itself. From totem to throne, how the dragon ruled for 2,000 years. As China evolved from scattered tribes into a unified empire, the dragon's status grew with it. By the time of the Qin and Han dynasties, about 2,200 years ago, the dragon had become something new. The symbol of the emperor. The emperor was called the true dragon, son of heaven. He wore dragon robes. He sat on the dragon throne. Everything he touched, his cups, his bed, his walls, was carved with dragons. Visit the Forbidden City in Beijing today, and you will find over 13,000 dragons in just one hall, the Hall of Supreme Harmony. 13,000. They're on the ceiling. They're coiled around the pillars. They're carved into the armrests of the dragon throne itself. But here's where the story takes a turn that might surprise you. The emperor tried to own the dragon. He declared that only he could wear the 5-clawed dragon. Nobles got 4 claws, commoners? 0. Wearing dragon robes without permission was punishable by death. And yet, the people never let it go. Because while the emperor was carving dragons onto his private throne, ordinary people were dancing with dragons in the streets. Every spring festival, every harvest, every celebration. The same symbol, used by the most powerful and the most ordinary, at the same time. This almost never happens with any other symbol in Chinese culture. But the dragon was never truly the emperor's. It was always everyone's. The emperor borrowed it for 2,000 years. And when the last emperor fell in 1912, the dragon didn't fall with him. It simply went back to the people, the dragon dance, where the creature comes alive. Now let me show you what that looks like, when the dragon goes back to the people. This is the dragon dance, and it is, without question, the most direct way to understand what the dragon means. Here's how it works. A team of a dozen or more people holds up a long dragon body made of silk, bamboo, and paper. It can be 20, 30, even 50 meters long. The dragon doesn't move on its own. Every single ripple, every turn, every leap, it all comes from the people underneath it. One person holds the head. He decides where the dragon goes. But if he moves too fast, the people behind can't follow. If someone in the middle loses rhythm, the whole body breaks. If the person at the tail doesn't anticipate the turn, the dragon looks clumsy and lifeless. A good dragon dance is a conversation without words. It's a dozen individuals breathing as one organism. And here's the most important part. The dragon dance is not a reenactment of a myth. It's not telling a story about a dragon that once existed. The dance is the dragon coming to life, right now, in front of you. This is where you understand, in your gut, what descendants of the dragon actually means. It doesn't mean the dragon gave birth to us. It means we give birth to the dragon. We are the ones who lift it off the ground. Without people, ordinary people, working together, there is no dragon. There is just fabric and bamboo lying on the floor. The dragon is not our ancestor. The dragon is our reflection. Our best self, made visible. Dragon versus dragon. Why East and West see completely different? So why is the Chinese dragon so different from the Western dragon? In the West, the dragon is the enemy. In the Bible, the dragon is Satan. St. George becomes a hero by killing one. Beowulf dies killing one. The Western dragon breathes fire, hoards gold, and kidnaps princesses. It is the ultimate monster, something to be defeated. In China, there is not a single story in the entire tradition about a hero slaying a dragon. Not one. The Chinese dragon doesn't breathe fire. It brings rain. For an agricultural civilization, rainfall is the difference between life and death. You don't slay the creature that gives you water. You pray to it. You honor it. You dance with it. So how did these two entirely different creatures end up with the same name? When European missionaries arrived in China in the 16th century, they saw these long, serpentine beings in temples and on robes, and the only word they had for them was dragon. The name stuck. But the translation has been misleading people ever since. Here's the simplest way to understand the difference. In the West, the dragon is something you fight. In China, the dragon is something you belong to. The hero slays the dragon. The people become the dragon. That's not a small difference. That's two completely different ways of seeing the world. So let's return to the question we started with. Why does the dragon matter so much? Why do a billion people still call themselves its descendants? Because the dragon is the one symbol that was there before China was China, and it has stayed through everything. It was there when tribes first decided to become one people. It was there when emperors rose and fell. It survived every war, every revolution, every attempt to own it or erase it. And today, it comes alive every year in the streets, not in a museum, not behind glass, but held up by the hands and the breath of ordinary people. The Chinese dragon isn't a monster. It isn't a god. It is a story, a 6,000-year-old story, about what happens when different people decide to move as one. And that story has a name, Descendants of the Dragon. If this changed the way you see something you thought you understood, subscribe and share. I'm exploring China's most misunderstood symbols, one video at a time. I'll see you in the next one.